Hi everybody, Shannon Petrovich with Therapist Talks. Today's video is called, Do I Have to Go No Contact with My Narcissist? In short, not necessarily. Here's some strategies to use to set boundaries, to assess the relationship, and decide what to do about it. First, let me be super clear. If there's any violence in the relationship, yes, you have to go emotionally and physically free from that person and stay away from that person, maybe forever. So if this is your situation, if there is violence, don't even watch this video. Instead, maybe watch my video on domestic violence or physical boundaries. This is more what you need to do on that. But this video is going to be more about emotional, mental, verbal issues, and not physical violence. But to many people right now, even in these emotionally problematic relationships, toxic relationships, whether it's with a narcissistic parent, an aging narcissistic parent, an adult son or daughter, a sibling, a friend, or a partner, the pat answer to this question seems to be yes, you have to go no contact. And sadly, I've seen a lot of people completely disconnect from an important relationship in their lives without even trying to see if anything is salvageable. They've missed out on relationships with parents, adult children, grandchildren, a sibling, or even a spouse or a partner that might have been salvageable. Because everyone is talking about narcissism and everyone is diagnosing that difficult person in their lives, they then go the next step and write them off, disconnect entirely, and refuse to talk with or work with any shred of the relationship. Sometimes when I suggest or talk about boundaries, I get a bunch of hateful comments below, boundaries don't work, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that's true, but it's not always true. And if you do the boundaries and it doesn't work, then you know you've done everything you possibly could have. So we're going to walk through some steps on how to effectively set boundaries, how to step back and take notes on what happens next, and then how to decide what to do. So again, if there's violence, this is not your video. Move on to a different one, okay? No discussion, get away, call the police, get free, get help, all of that, okay? But much of the time, these offenses are really relational, and many people just don't know how to handle them, communicate about them, and they go no contact instead of learning how. Step one, identify what's going on in this relationship that feels really toxic to you. What words, behaviors, attitudes, or other issues are causing you to consider this person a narcissist or want to go no contact? Is it controlling behavior? Is it anger outbursts, isolating you, refusing to listen to or understand your feelings or perspective? Is it always wanting what they want, how they want it, and when they want it, and if they don't get it, they tantrum? Is it needing constant attention, adoration, being upset when they don't get that? Are they accusing you of what they did? Are they gaslighting you, devaluing you, bullying, harassing you on the phone or in person? Trying to control your choices, your actions, or holding something or someone emotionally hostage to control you. So write all these things down so you get a really clear picture of what's going on. In all of these experiences, you rightfully may feel angry, sad, hurt, upset, overwhelmed, frustrated. You also might feel like you are bad, wrong, hopeless, and helpless. So these first feelings are valid and are the result of this dynamic, and yet you can change the feelings of being bad, wrong, hopeless, and helpless. Those parts are not necessarily true. You can change those into being strong, proactive, solid, and assertive. I know you're saying, no way, I've tried everything, but stick with me. Let's go walk through this. First of all, you need to take a look at your internal self-talk. Are you participating in the degradation inside your own head? For a lot of people, this old story started way back in childhood, and you've internally beaten up on yourself your entire life, so it's hard to even notice that you do this, and it's even harder to realize you can change it. If your internal self-talk is really negative, berating, hopeless, and helpless, you need to begin to notice and treat yourself as you would your best friend. You need to be encouraging, kind, compassionate, and rational with yourself. When you notice the self-degrading messages or even the hopeless, helpless messages, tell yourself what you would tell your friend. more than likely you would never treat anyone else so poorly. This is a crucial first step, so don't skip it. Next, you need to recognize that their behavior, though they say it's all about you, is not about you. Their behavior choices started way back in their childhood, and they are theirs alone. When you see this, you can step back emotionally and watch the circus go by without jumping in. So when you watch, just watch the pressure. They manipulate, they lie, they carry on, they shift to tears, they shift to anger, they shift to guilt trip, then back to pressure. None of this is about you. When you step back and recognize this and see that that tantrum is just that, and when you placate it, it's like giving a child an ice cream cone when they just pitched a fit in a store. You wouldn't do that. You would ignore that behavior or consequence that behavior, but you wouldn't enable it. When you take the heat for someone's bad behavior when it isn't about you, and when you take it on as your fault, when you tell them, you're basically telling them that is, you're participating in that, and it just feeds the monster of their bad behavior. So step back and watch the circus go by. Next, you need to begin to decide what you're going to stand up for, and that you're going to begin to stand up for yourself and not put up with these toxic behaviors. Again, you're going to sort of pretend in your head that if you were with your friend and they were getting treated this way, you would stand up and not allow that. So go back to your list of the toxic behaviors that you don't want to put up with any longer and start running scenarios in your head of what boundaries you might set for those. So you think, for example, when they try to isolate me, I will do what I want to do anyway. When they act like they're going to tantrum, I'm not going to placate or peacekeep. I'm going to do what I feel and what I say and what I mean and not subvert myself. When they do tantrum, I will hang up the phone, leave the area, tell them I'll talk to them when they can be decent, respectful, caring, etc., and then leave. Begin to identify the bottom lines and what you'll do if anything escalates to that point. When you stop being controlled by a narcissist, you will see a reaction. Be prepared to leave, to hang up, even to call the police if it escalates to violence. And if that happens, it's done. Period. No contact. When you've stood your ground, state why and what you will no longer put up with, and let them know your feelings and your boundaries. Then give them time to process that. Sometimes a short-term separation is necessary, sometimes it isn't. If there's a time of separation, recognize they may accept your new boundaries, and just notice. If there's resolution possible, they will accept your boundaries, they will come back and apologize. If they don't, then you know there probably isn't hope. So some examples. Spouse erupts in anger over small things and client is fed up. I'm using client and spouse because I don't like to gender pronoun any of these interactions. Men and women both do these things. Client walks away whenever that person blows up and stops apologizing, taking the heat for whatever's bothering them. Client gradually begins confronting them, saying, I'm not listening to your anger anymore. When you calm down, we can talk, but your anger is exhausting and I'm done listening to it or pretending it's my fault or just quietly taking it. The spouse gets infuriated, yells something about divorce. Client accepts that this relationship may not work. Client consistently walks away. Spouse begins to self-correct and apologize at times. Spouse and client begin to talk more honestly about the issue, and as client holds ground and stands up for that person's self, spouse learns to listen and starts to adjust their behavior. True story. Another example, son or daughter with abusive narcissistic behavior. The parent says, when you are verbally abusive to me, I feel hurt and frustrated. I'm going to hang up the phone or leave when you do that. I'll be open to hearing what you have to say, but only as long as it's said respectfully. When you hold the grandkids from me because of our conflict, that's hurtful and unfair. If you have reasons you don't want me to be with them, that's a separate issue and you need to tell me about that, and I will honor your parenting wishes. But if you're simply punishing me, that's unfair to them. If you have anything else you need to tell me, I'll listen, even if I don't agree, and I will respect your perspective. Another example is a narcissistic parent. If you have a narcissistic parent, you can say to them, I feel hurt and frustrated when you tell me what to do, dictate my life choices to me, and are all about yourself, or don't consider my feelings, or tell me my parenting is lacking. I feel hurt and angry, and when you do these things, I'll let you know I'm getting frustrated. If you don't stop, I'll hang up the phone or leave and go home. We can try and talk about it later, and I will listen to you, but I also need you to listen and consider my perspective and not steamroll me with your beliefs and ignore mine. I've seen many situations where these boundaries have worked and relationships were really greatly improved. Sometimes this results in no change, and sometimes it results in escalation. The thing is if you calmly create these consistent boundaries and the person is still rude, abusive, or worse, then you know you did everything you could to remedy the situation. You know you've opened that door and made clear what the limits are of what you will and won't accept anymore. And you've started to take care of yourself internally as well as externally. So then you watch what happens. If there's improvement, there might be hope. If they do not respect your boundaries, then you probably want to sever contact for periods of time, and again, watch what happens. If they have some remorse and can respect boundaries, then you may be able to reconnect. They clearly know why you've separated, and they know what needs to change in order to be in relationship again. The most important part is that you're emotionally separating from their bad behavior. It's no longer about you, and you are clear that you are not going to put up with it anymore. You're not being drained, abused, and bankrupted by these interactions anymore. You feel okay within the relationship, and when and if they are violating your boundaries, you can sever again. And if it's an up and down, then you can be together when it's okay and sever when it's not. Nothing has to be forever unless you decide to make it that way. And because you've been clear and consistent, they know what's up and how to make it different by their own choices. I've seen many people be able to take care of themselves within a relationship with a narcissistic parent, son or daughter, sibling, partner, or coworker. It all starts with your internal self-talk, separating emotionally from them, watching the circus go by, not taking their behavior personally, and setting good boundaries. Although these sound like simple steps, they are not easy. It takes time to sift through the internal self-talk that drives your over-involvement in their behavior. It takes practice to see the circus and not jump onto the roller coaster with them. And you may need episodes of no contact in order to take care of yourself enough to then interact with them without getting sucked in. But wouldn't it be great if you could take care of yourself without losing yourself in the midst of one of these relationships? Wouldn't it be great if you could be okay in a family gathering with this person involved, or see more of your grandkids, or not lose touch with someone who matters to you? There are a lot more strategies and details in my new book, and you'll see a video about that pop up here. It's on Amazon and Kindle. It's called Out of the Fog into the Clear, Journaling to Help You Heal. And it's all about putting these strategies into action and feeling good and taking care of yourself. So take good care. I will see you again next weekend in a live stream probably. And so please put your comments, questions, any kind of things that you want to hear more about in the comment section below. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.